Welcome to Jump School. I'm your host, Ihsaan Ali, aka the StyleJumper. On this podcast, you'll learn a ton of things. We'll talk about style, confidence, etiquette, creativity, and entrepreneurship. Today's episode was brought to you by my new book, Why Style Matters, The Mindset of Dressing Well and How It Impacts Your Life. To get your autographed copy, click the link in the description. Today's guest is a collector, entrepreneur, content creator, and image consultant, the original, the authentic Mr. Parker. Episode 20. The following is an excerpt from Instagram Live. Let's go.
What's good?
What up? What's going on?
Hey, man.
How you, fam?
2 years in the making, something like that? 2 or 3 years
Yeah,
in the making?
man. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm blessed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm blessed. So,
That hat stupid. First, no.
what's up, man?
Bro, that hat stupid, bro. Good God. Yeah, that hat is official.
You know, when I had to come right, I had to pull out my gear for you, man. So,
Here's what's nuts, though. When I first started on my Ralph Lauren journey,
yeah,
they had a hat like that online, and I bought it.
yeah,
And I didn't know what to do with it, man. I sent it back. That's the only time I've ever returned anything RalphLauren.com or, something associated like in the store or whatever. Because, as I progressed, I've learned what I wanted, what I needed, etc.
yeah.
And what I liked. But yeah, I saw that hat and I thought it would be something different and dope. And I couldn't figure out what to do. Now I wish I could, because if they put that out there now, I mean, I'm grabbing all colors. You know
All
what I mean?
colors, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Look. So what's funny is I was just telling the folks who were on earlier,
Mm-hmm.
is that this is designed from one of my mentors, David Stennett. So David used to be the marketing director of Cross Colors.
Okay.
So he has a brand he was starting out called Collection, and
Mm-hmm.
he sent me the hat, man. I've been holding on to. I've had it for probably 9 months.
Okay.
And I was like, boy, I got to pull this boy out, man. So
Yeah, that's tough
I
right there.
appreciate you. Well, thank you, man.
That's
So look, we're going to get this party started. I want to
Mm-hmm.
thank everyone for hopping on tonight to the Jump School. I'm your host, Ihsaan Ali, the StyleJumper, and I have the honor and the pleasure of speaking to a good brother, a mentor from afar, but also someone who I feel like we have one, a kindred spirit, but two, there's something that about us that's really unique. There's only a few people that I say, like, when I think about grown men and how we dress and how we can put stuff together, this is one of the few people on the planet that I've seen that immediately I was like, we speak the same language. So, I'm honored, to have you. So for those who don't know, Mr. Parker, 1967, this good brother has been a collector, a curator since 2009 with Ralph Lauren. Former manager of a polo store, stylist, image consultant, and just has an extensive knowledge and obviously a content creator. So I want to thank you again for hopping on tonight at Jump School.
Man, I'm honored, appreciate it. Glad to be here, man. Just been like you said, man, it was definitely a connection just from afar, when it came to you and I. It could be a litany of reasons. It could be, to be honest, on a really deep level, it could be skin tone. It ain't a lot of us with our skin tone doing what we do.
Yeah, you're right.
So
You're right. There's not a lot.
it may have been that I may have saw a picture of you or vice versa and was like, okay, cuz doing it. So
We could do that. Yeah,
Yep.
That makes perfect sense. Sense because you're right. Early on, getting into social media, you see dark-skinned brothers, and definitely brothers with dark-skinned brothers, are older, mature brother, and also a bald head. So those three things really, really made sense. And I can appreciate that. But I wanted to give you your flowers because, I've learned so much just by your wisdom, your ability to curate. You forced me to get out of my comfort zone. And I want to say that because before you, I don't think I've ever owned a rugby shirt.
Right. I remember that
You
conversation.
remember? Yeah. So I've stepped out, wearing rugby. And to be honest, this is the first time in probably 25 years I was even interested in wearing anything branded. So it was you that really helped me kind of step out of my comfort zone, see
Mm-hmm.
what pieces I can pull to kind of coordinate to how how I interpret things. But enough about me, man. So let's start. Tell me a little bit about, like, so where did you grow up?
I'm born and raised in Durham, North Carolina. Um, but my mom, my dad too, definitely my dad too, but my mom is like very well traveled,
Hmm.
and very rarely did I sit still. So, and I'm not talking about living other places, but just from a traveling standpoint, um, a lot of times you wouldn't be able to tell unless the conversation is that casual. You wouldn't even be able to tell I'm from the South,
Mm-hmm.
much less, you know what I mean, from Durham, North Carolina. So, yeah, I've been around, but I'm born and raised in the Tar Heel State.
You know, it's funny. It all makes sense now. You know,
Mm.
I'm a South Cac boy. I'm from South
Okay.
Carolina, so
Mm-hmm.
that's where it is. And to your point
Mm-hmm.
of just getting out and having that interpretation of life, people
Yeah.
won't necessarily know where you come from because of
Mm-hmm.
that ability to identify things and just how you move.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so um, tell me, like, when we think about growing up, coming from Durham, who was your influences? How, what was your style influence like growing up?
I grew up in hip hop. So, like a lasting memory that can easily pop in my head once a week, maybe more, is laying 7 years old, laying in the backseat of a car with my dad and one of his best friends traveling to New York to see my dad's mom, my nana, rest her soul,
Mm-hmm.
and hearing the message and losing my freaking mind. Like, what is this? Women, they're not singing, they're talking, but the words rhyme and the music is crazy. And yeah, by the time we hit Queens, it was over with for me. I was a hip hop historian by the time and there was only two songs out, and I was a historian. But from there, through my teenage years and early adult years, I was all hip hop everything. Like I lived the culture, lived the lifestyle, everything hip hop. Anything you can think of that's hip hop, I was into it. So like I rapped for a long time, but you know, I wore my style of dress was all hip hop, and looking back, because I looked at some of my old videos made their way to YouTube, man. Looking back at how that type of attire was, boy, I'm I am so glad things evolved. But and it's funny because a lot of people still dress like that. But
You're right.
I didn't get into Ralph Lauren until I spent a summer, maybe a summer and a half, so summer and a little bit of fall, living in Atlanta doing music. And we did shows every Monday night. We would sign up and perform at T.I.'s club, Club Crucial. It's in Bankhead. And it was every Monday night. And one Monday, I went to the mall because I didn't bring, of course, all of my, back then it was Ed Hardy, Christian Audigier. I didn't bring all of that stuff with me. I brought some stuff, but I wanted to go get a shirt. And I had noticed that a lot of people down there was wearing polo. And my manager at the time, who was in DC, was also big on polo, but I was like, it's whatever. But I went to the mall and I caught the polo shirt. And I went to another mall, Lenox Mall, and found some wallabies to match it. Put the outfit together, went and did the show, and got a lot of compliments on the outfit. I was like, huh, okay. But what I remember most about that day was before we went to do the show, we went to get something to eat, and I got a lot of compliments from white people on my outfit. And I was like, okay, so this polo thing might be something to it. So I bought another shirt, then another shirt, and
Here we are.
fast forward, here we are. But yeah, my it was a gap. It was a gap that was bridged, and that's to this day that's one of my main ambitions is to bridge that gap between the hip hop culture and the Ralph Lauren lifestyle, and kind of make it understood that there is actually a certain way you should wear Ralph Lauren.
Hmm.
Now you can wear it with the hip hop twist, that's fine. Do your thing. If that's your style, that's your style. But if you really want to embrace the Ralph Lauren lifestyle, you can do that and still be uh enamored with hip hop as a culture and as a lifestyle.
Hmm.
So if I think that's part of my end game, and I would like to be able to do it from a corporate level as well, not
Okay.
just uh, creating a social media platforms that take off or whatever. But I would like to actually get into the Ralph Lauren corporate side and kind of bring those two worlds together, because I think it could be mutually beneficial for both.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's
Hmm.
two things you said that I was really spoke to me. One was you spoke about going up to New York
Hmm.
at 7. I remember around the same age going to Connecticut,
Hmm.
and that was the message.
Yeah.
And I remember being in my dad's 79 Oldsmobile,
Hmm.
Cutlass Sierra,
Hmm.
and I was like, what? When
Is
you
it?
said
Hmm.
that, I got chills because I remember that moment. There's similar moments when it comes to your influence in hip hop. I think everyone on here has that moment, a song that they heard
Hmm.
where hip hop touched them.
Right.
And that was the first song. The second was I Ain't No Joke, Arabian Rakim. It just,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
um, and then secondly, when you talk about the ability to bridge that gap between Ralph Lauren and youth culture, and we come from that
Hmm.
influence. I think one of the things that is not being said or understood is, to your point, is it's an elevated look, and we have a way of presenting the language. For us, this is a true language,
Hmm.
and so when you can speak a language, infuse culture in there, you take the person or the designer, in this case Ralph Lauren, and almost put them in. It's like explosion, right? Because
Hmm.
they're like, wow, we never thought of it like this, or
Right.
we at least didn't think of to tell the story like this,
Hmm.
because we're storytellers. We don't have to say anything. We
Right.
tell all kind of stories. So I can really appreciate that, man, when you talk about wanting to go into the corporate side, because I think it would be very valuable. Excuse me, because there's a whole generation, we're Gen Xers.
Hmm.
We grew up in hip hop. We understood the value of hip hop and the language of hip hop, and so now we're all mature. We're grown adults.
Hmm.
So someone isn't connecting those dots, and I can very well see it be you to connect the dots, saying, "Hey, you're missing a huge audience
Hmm.
because you're not talking to them." And kind of like, okay, well, I used to wear polo when I was 19.
Right.
Well, how do you flip that when you're 45, when you're 47, when you're
Hmm.
50? How do you do that? So that's dope. So, speaking of Ralph Lauren, so I'm really going to go deep. Tell me, when you, Dear Ralph, the documentary, um,
Hmm.
what?
Very Ralph,
Yeah, Very
the one
Ralph.
that was on HBO.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tell me, excuse me, Very Ralph. But what did you take away from that? And what did you take away from that documentary?
Nothing I ain't already know. He's a freaking rock star. Like
Yeah.
when I met the dude, okay, so listen, you hear stories about people, men, women, whatever, meeting Michael Jackson or meeting Prince and just like some faint,
Mm-hmm.
right? I didn't faint, but just meeting the dude, I really, once I met the dude, we, we spoke, took a picture and parted ways. I really felt like, I was like, wow, that must be what being a fan feels like. Cause I never been there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like my people raised me to, to understand that everybody put their pants on one leg at a time. So I never been a groupie type, whatever terminology you want to use.
Mm-hmm.
But mm, if you, when you in the style, it ain't even got to be Ralph Lauren. When you just in the style, there's certain people that if you meet them, they rock stars. And
Mm-hmm.
Ralph is one of them. Like I feel like, for example, uh, if I met Lagerfeld or Caroline Vreeland, not Caroline, that's the granddaughter, but Miss Vreeland, who was responsible for all those great publications back in the day. You know, just certain people that come from that industry and that ilk. You meet them and it's gonna be that feeling. You know what I mean? So I already went into that documentary knowing a lot about him and his personal life from reading autobiography, etc. Working for the company, I kind of knew a lot of the insides of how business is run and how shows are put together and things of that nature. So the documentary was great just for the watch, but I didn't really come away with anything I didn't already know. Like Ralph is a freaking rock star, bro. If you ever get a chance to meet him, like, and he's the humblest dude in the world. Like, the SVP is a sister. Her name is Sharonda Weatherspoon, and they had a town hall meeting in New York during Fashion Week, and we were able to get in there. Me and a partner I was with, we both worked for the company. You had to be employed. So when everything was over, I think Ralph was the last speaker, and before him was Patrice. That's the current CEO, the current president, Patrice Levette. They were the last two to speak. And when it was over, somebody came from behind me and touched me on my shoulder. I turned around and it was Sharonda. And so she gave me a hug and she's like, I can't believe you're here. I didn't know you was coming. I wish you would have called, blah, 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 blah. She's like, you want to meet Ralph? I was like, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And she walked me over there to where he was. I shook his hand. I think I said something to the effect of like, you changed my life or something like that. He reached out, dude, and was like, oh, I like your beard. Bro, I could have been like, bro, it was the sickest feeling. Like,
Yeah.
dude's a rock star, man. Then we turned around, took a picture, and that was it. And it was just like, dude, like Ralph Lauren, bro. Like,
That's
and he's a
his
little
life.
guy, but he's a little guy, and but he's a rock star, man.
So when did you commit to 100% rocking Ralph like all the time?
Not too long after coming back from Atlanta, after doing, those shows and a little bit of touring and stuff, I said, man, this is where it's at. Cause at the time I was, man, mid-30s. When you mid-30s and you haven't gotten that 7, 8 figure deal through music, then it's time to start thinking about doing something else.
Yeah.
And it had got to a point where my fashion consciousness was very forward. And I probably could have easily stayed on the track I was, and it would have been a totally different scenario. But I switched gears and went towards Ralph Lauren. But I didn't want to do, because the first thing somebody that outside of my immediate circle that talked to me about was the low lifes and the low heads.
Yeah.
And after talking to a couple of them guys and seeing how they dressed, I didn't want to do that. It was cool. They was some of the coolest, and to this day, like, the coolest of dudes, because they all grown men. But I was looking to be more traditional with it. I felt like I think I want to do more grown man, because I was almost 40. So, and I've always been the type of person I like to do research. When it's something that I'm interested in, I want to research it. I want to have knowledge of it. I don't want to, say something and be completely off base because I didn't take the time to really learn what I was talking about. So I started doing research and started looking at print ads and really studying how things were put together, and my style kind of evolved from that. And the more I got into the clothes, then the more I wanted to get into the lifestyle behind each piece. So instead of going to the club on Saturday nights, I was looking forward to maybe going to a cigar bar on Friday afternoon. Instead of going to this function, I was looking at, well, where can I go and see a steeplechase or something equestrian, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the more I started looking at things that uh inspired the clothing, then everything else just started changing. So everything else just started falling by the wayside, hanging out, all that other stuff just kind of, it was about working, doing the fatherly thing, and then enjoying my life in a Ralph Lauren lifestyle. So I'm going to say maybe 2010 is when the switch went off, and it's been full speed ahead ever since, bro.
And it's funny because, like I said, I had never been, well, not probably since, my early 20s that I was into a brand, if you will. And it takes a special person to make that type of decision, but also be able to know that whatever comes out, for the most part, you can interpret it in a way that's impactful and effective for you. Some people just wear anything, but when you look at it, and like, being a stylist or someone who's an image consultant, when you have a client, you say, hey, you find a product or a brand that works for you, and you go hard in that brand because you don't have to guess. There's no guesswork anymore, and it makes your life so much easier. I was listening to your intro, and you talk your Ralph-olution. So tell me about that. What was the concept behind that? And the reason why I listened to it a couple of times, because there were things like, respect the queens, no divisiveness and excluding anyone, inclusion, drip or swag, Tell me about it, and what was the science behind putting that together?
Well, the idea came from what can I do this year to celebrate Ralph Lauren's birthday. His birthday is October 14th. And sometimes I might just post a picture or whatever and just, put it out there like that. But I wanted to do something this year, and I needed to get some footage with a couple of my partners. Is in the beginning of it, because we looking to put a podcast together, but we want to really take our time with it. So I wanted to get some footage with them, some still photos as well as some video footage, just to have it in the tub. So then I got to thinking, like, well, you know what? I could put a little video package together real quick. I kind of learned this phone from doing my blog every week or whatever. And then that went to, hey, man, his birthday is Thursday. If I can get it done by Thursday. And then that went to, man, I need a theme. I need a theme. And I just kept going back to diversity and inclusion, which is huge within the company. Promoting the success of women, especially women of color, is huge within the company. Women in general, I say, definitely women of color also, but like Ralph has always been a proponent for women and women's rights and things like that. Like he has a daughter and he has granddaughters, and he loves his wife, but his right hand person was a woman for 30 plus years. So like Ralph has always been a big proponent for women. Between that, Pink Pony and one of my mentors as far as actually working for a store, she's had breast cancer since I've known her. So, October is always a big month for us when it comes to her. But just all the things that Ralph Lauren encompasses, man, it felt like last year was the antithesis of everything that Ralph Lauren stands for. So I just wanted to do something that kind of said, hey, we know what we went through in 2020 with that clown we had in office as president, to the systemic racism we kept seeing, the murdering of black people by law enforcement, all the stuff we saw. The biggest thing to me out of all of that was the how the president what's the word I'm looking for? He indoctrinated a lot of people to just go ahead and speak on how they really feel about people of color.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know, he emboldened. That's the word I'm
Yeah.
looking for. He emboldened them. So I just felt like I want to do something in reference to we still anti all of that shit from last year.
Yeah.
And the revolution will not be televised somehow got in my head. And then just being a former rap artist, a retired rap artist, revolution, 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 the revolution. And then I just started writing. I knew I wanted the first line to be the same as the revolution will not be televised, Gil Scott.
Mhm.
But after that, I knew it needed to be all me, but with that same mentality of revolution, positivity, etc. So that's kind of just how it all came together. And I was able to get it done and posted by Thursday. So that, I was satisfied with the product.
Well, it's interesting because one, I'm learning something. I'm learning two things. One is didn't know you used to be an MC, so now that makes sense for you to be able
Hmm.
to do that. And
Hmm.
secondly, this is new news to me. My question prior to you answering, stating just now, I was going to ask, what was it like to work for the company?
Yeah.
And I never knew that this was such a focus
Hmm.
for the organization. I would have loved to be able to see that even during that time that everything that was going on, that there was a lot more communication. Because, everybody jumped on the bandwagon last year,
Hmm.
making these initiatives. But this sounds like this is a part of Ralph Lauren's core values. So I would have loved to have heard that story.
Hmm.
So it's really interesting you saying that, and I'd never even thought that that would be a part of the business. So that's just great to hear from a brand, and that makes me even more intrigued about the brand.
You
Um,
know how, let me think of somebody. Let me think of somebody. The Lakers.
mm,
I just use the Lakers as an example. The Lakers win the championship this year, right?
mm,
It'll be a great achievement to win a championship, but they're not going to like lose their freaking minds and go nuts and tear the city down because they've been there before. It's the same thing with Ralph Lauren. You didn't you didn't see a whole bunch of hoopla and we're going to do this and we're going to do that because they've been doing it.
mm.
You see what I'm
Makes
saying?
sense. Yeah, it
So
makes
like
sense.
for them it was business as usual to be anti-hate. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
To be pro LBGTQ, to be pro black, to be pro just pro humanity. They always been that. So yeah, and that's why you never see outrage marketing coming from Ralph Lauren as a brand. They don't have to do that stuff, and they wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? The companies that do that, they know that that's a way to get your name popping, and
Mm-hmm. And
all
not their
publicity
core
is good
values,
publicity.
like you
Right,
said, not a part of their
right,
core values. Makes
exactly.
sense.
Because there's no freaking way that a shirt on a black kid that says one monkey, the flies monkey in the jungle, didn't go through, didn't go past 20 sets of eyes, some of them looking just like you and me at H&M before it
Mm-hmm.
got put on that website a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But they knew that could go up there, it would cause a stir, people gonna get mad, people gonna boycott for a couple weeks until something else happens. They
Mm-hmm.
knew it.
They say all press is good press.
They do say that. I
Yeah.
don't agree with it. I've never agreed with it, but they do say that.
Agreed. 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 Recently, in doing my research and watching the videos, we talked about, or you talked about, the importance of content creation,
Mm-hmm.
some of the exclusion that we're finding. And I just wanted, to elaborate on that, that there seems to be somewhat of a movement to exclude, you know, men when it comes to
Now
styling.
let's be specific. Let's be specific. Not 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 just men, heterosexual
Heterosexual
men.
men, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk
Because
about.
well, here's the thing, and this is how it all started for me. Um I've always been a proponent of anybody that's doing their thing with fashion and style on a level that I respect. All right. It all starts with whether or not I respect what you're doing. If I don't respect what you're doing, I wouldn't speak on it
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not that guy. I don't have to gain any type of brownie points. I'm not looking for attention by bashing another person. Like if you can't dress, you can't dress. If you don't know how to style somebody, then you just don't. But it's not for me to bring that to the forefront. But if you're doing something I respect, I don't care what color you are. I don't care what gender you are. I'm going to salute you, right? And then if it's on a whole nother level with what you're doing, hell, I promote you. I throw you in my Insta story if nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
So, there was for quite some time I was doing that for a lot of people. Um, and I just wasn't getting it back, which is fine. I wasn't doing it to get it back per se, but when you get in my DMs and say, "Man, you killing them," blah blah blah. Okay, you know, go say that
Yeah.
in your story. Like
Yeah.
I said it about you, but even then I won't say it, like because I'm not gonna ask you to do something for it. You're
Mm-hmm.
gonna do it. You're gonna do it off the strength. You hit me wanting me on jump school this evening off the strength. I didn't come to you and say, "Hey, can I be on jump school?" Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's just That's just how I move. Um, but fast forward, I noticed that I wasn't the only one wasn't getting love and support from the women. The women wasn't only people that they would promote were other women. And I get it, especially again with so many things being brought to the forefront, not only in 2020, but recent years before that, women have really gotten to the point where they stick together. And I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome because the uh the opposite end of that is women beefing over petty shit. And I don't want to, I'm just at my age, I'm tired of seeing that. I'm pretty sure, and most men are tired of seeing that. We don't want to see that from our women or any women. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's enough love out here for everybody to go around. But you can't exclude us. You know what I mean? And I understand that the fashion industry is a vast majority of it is ran by the LGBTQ. I understand that. I don't
Mm-hmm.
have a problem with that. My problem is going to always be just don't exclude or try to hinder me from doing my thing. That's when we'll have a problem.
So let me ask you, and I'm curious, like how do you feel the community or either the women are hindering you? Like I'm just thinking like, because
Well,
I really thought,
I don't feel like they're hindering me, but I'm also the type of person I'm gonna speak my mind.
yeah,
So
for sure.
when I see something and I realize through doing my due diligence that it's not just me
Mm-hmm.
that's being excluded from, giving flowers or being promoted by women. It's other heterosexual men that I know that do their thing with content creation or even just um being a fly dude on Instagram
Yeah.
not being acknowledged just because you're a dude. Like what other reason is there if you can put I tell you why I actually had to go down the rabbit hole on this to come to the conclusions that I've come to. So I did something for someone,
Mm-hmm.
a woman content creator, and her content is solely based on fashion and style. I did something for her that I know for a fact, uh, gave her a boost.
Mm-hmm.
She already had good numbers, but this
Yeah.
gave her a boost, right? Um, she didn't promote what I did on her page at all.
Mm.
And then she proceeded to promote a few women and an interview that she did with a member of a dude from the LGBTQ community. So I was like, that's crazy to me. Why
Mm-hmm.
would she do that? So I started, like I say, I went down the rabbit hole and I started looking at different reels, different posts. I went through a lot of her posts just to see like where was she going with her platform.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that she was seeing all my Insta stories. She was liking pictures,
No
but I
promotion,
wasn't
no
getting no
support.
reposts. I looked at some of her followers just to see, I looked at some of the hashtags that she follows. She follows a lot of hashtags that a lot of my guys, follow
Mm-hmm.
and promote. And she follows quite a few like-minded individuals like me and you. She
Mm-hmm.
ain't promoting nobody.
Mm-hmm.
So then I started looking at some other women that I started thinking about that I had been, when I say I went down in the rabbit hole, oh, I went down in there, bro. This wasn't something on a whim. This was like, I was really looking back to see who was doing what, who was promoting what, who was supporting who,
Yeah.
and we not getting supported.
It's interesting, man, because that's why, I wanted to start this conversation by saying, hey, let me give this brother his flowers first, start off the
Hmm.
rip, because
Hmm.
none of us are original in what we do. We are influenced by so many. Just like one Coach Love says, wow, you got to give people their credit, when it's due. It's not cool. You got to show that
Hmm.
appreciation and respect, especially if you're giving an olive tree to some olive branch to someone, and then that branch is then thrown on the ground and ignored.
Hold that, hold that thought, bro. Please don't forget where you are. But I just want to say this to one Coach Love. So listen. Exactly. What you're saying is 1,000%. But here's the thing. It's not, it's not even about, attention per se or anything like that. Like, so people that do it, I'm pretty sure my guy wants Jump School to become this thing, to become this entity, right? Where he can monetize from it, right? It can be this thing because when you get into content creation, that's your mindset. I want this to become this thing. I want to be able to monetize off of it and then branch off and grow other things because there's bags out here,
Mm-hmm.
right? So because we all know sex sells and women move the needle, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you say you want a good man or you say you want black men to protect black women or whatever thing that you're using nowadays, right? It's got to be reciprocated. And we, as heterosexual men who, um, in the scheme of things, when it comes to fashion and style industries, we're closer to the bottom than anybody else. Like the LGBTQ is closer to the top. Women are closer to the top. We're closer to the bottom. Black heterosexual men are closer to the bottom when it comes to fashion and style industry. So that one little post on your Insta story saying how dope somebody is or reposting somebody's content from that week that you really liked and really appreciated, that could be the difference between their platform going like this or
Mm-hmm.
going like this.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
one little post, you know what I mean?
I
And
do.
everybody that's into content creation knows that. So I think part of that is why women are doing some women. I'm not gonna say all, and
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever made it a blanket statement what I've been talking about on my blog.
Mm-hmm.
So not all, but some women that I see what they doing and I see how they moving. I think part of that is too. I don't wanna do that for them, and then they go this way, and I'm still, which is crazy. But
Yeah. When we talk about the olive branch, and when obviously when you're connecting with people and you're trying to, do a platform like this, there's plenty of times where I reach out to people, ignore. All right. But I think to your point, the value for me, and I really thought about what you said, especially when it comes to extending that olive branch back. If I'm
hmm.
going to extend it to you, is that a part of this is doing what we're doing. And I think
Hmm.
this is what brothers have to do more of. We
Hmm.
have to have we have to fellowship. We have to have these conversations and not be afraid. So these are things that I wrote down,
Hmm.
sharing information and resources,
Hmm.
period. Collaboration, period.
Hmm.
Investing in each other, period. Being willing to take that feedback, positive or negative, and say, hey man, have you thought about this? And not, allow our egos to step in front of us, but receive that information, because there's a group of, and we need our own products for sure.
Mm-hmm.
There's a group of brothers and a coach that I follow in Atlanta. Them boys rock so hard together. And that's what I want to see in our field, in the industry of style, where we go so hard. Everybody has their own lane, but it's respected, it's appreciated, and we grow together. And that's what I see. And so I personally, I'm super happy that we're having this discussion, because this is what we have to do. And I see other people, other communities, they rock together too.
Yep.
Firsthand. I mean, and I was blown away with this experience that I had a few years in Atlanta. And I just watched. I went to a men's conference, and I just really watched how everyone moved. And I was just like, man, it would be great for us to do this together. And obviously, there's no disrespect to any other culture or community, but there's something about, to your point, of heterosexual Black men, we move the needle when it comes to style, to be honest. I mean, we're gonna I don't care nobody.
We always have.
Always have. So now it's sort of like reclaiming, but also taking over and we have to tell our own narrative. We have to tell our own stories. We can't rely on nobody else at this point. We have to respect. We appreciate, all of the communities, races, genders, but it's what we're doing right now. And it's my goal, and that's, it is a part of Jump School, to continue to celebrate and create the narrative and write our own narrative, tell our own stories about our experiences, our point of view, and why it's important and how impactful it is to so many other cultures and communities. And when we look at style, for instance, that was one of the reasons why it was so important for me, at least in my heart, to write the book about style, because it's not heard from our point of view. It was maybe 2 or 3 books out there, Dapper Dan, and I think I saw one more. So it's important. It's important for us to write our own narrative, because I'm like, man, like, why no one's acknowledging our impact and influence? And so, and if we go historical, and that's what was important to share, the historical component of it. So I want us to touch on this, and I mean, we can do a part 2. I think it'd be great for us to do a part 2, because this is a powerful. We can start from here on part 2. But there's some things that I wanted to make sure I don't miss them before we move on. Anything else you want to talk on that topic for now? Or we can take
good. You good. We can table it for now.
That's what's up. We'll do a part 2. So I want to talk about style a little bit. So what is it from your experience with RL about patterns, textures, contradictions, and contrast, right? That's what I see with RL, and how Ralph Lauren puts things together, and how they style things together, and even how you do it. What would be for you, where do you start when you're looking at and looking for a piece? Because you're a collector and curator.
It really depends on the time of year that I'm shopping for, and well, who am I fooling? Actually, probably 75 to 80% of my shopping is for fall and winter. I hate spring and abhor summer. Like, I wish they would abolish summer. That is just the worst. That is just the worst. And it's funny because I actually had this was several years back, but I actually had a casual offer to work at the Ball Harbor store. But it's in Miami. I'm not moving to Miami, man. They don't have no type of fall down there. What I look like with 200 plus sweaters. You know what I mean? Sitting on display in my closet, and I can't wear them because I'm living in Miami. No, I ain't never. I'll never live anywhere that's hot like that. Just because of clothes, and that's probably nuts to most people, but for me, no, I'm not. But I shop mostly for fall and winter. So the first thing I'm always looking for, the first 2 things I'm always looking for is tweed and sweaters. So tweed and wools, tweed and cottons. I'm always looking for tweeds and sweaters.
Why is that? What is it about tweed?
Well, I just think tweed is the quintessential piece for any genre of style that Ralph Lauren has ingratiated over the years, whether it's prep, trad, uh, hell, what else is there besides prep and trad? But you know,
No other life, man. No other life.
bespoke, any
Yeah.
of it, the English gent, all of it. You know what I mean? Just tweed is always going to have its fingerprint on any of those styles that I love.
Mhm. So would you
And then
say that's why you have the, and I too have this affinity for like UK, that Scotland,
yes,
Ireland,
yes,
England. So
hmm
that's, I agree 100%. That makes
yes.
perfect sense.
I think that the UK in particular, uh, the historic English, um, don't nobody does it better than them. I don't think.
Mhm.
I haven't seen it. Yes, you have you have your Farrah's come from Donegal, all that stuff is UK, not necessarily England,
Mhm.
but just England in general, man, has always been, you know, it's funny because I've been to I've been to New York during New York Fashion Week, but my ultimate goal is to be in London during London Fashion Week. I just want to see.
Mm.
I think that vibe is just gonna be
Oh,
something
let's
to write
go.
home about. Yeah,
Let's
man.
figure that out, bro.
Yeah, we got to,
That,
man.
that
And
would be.
and now that the world is kind of opening back up, I'm
Mhm.
pretty sure next year's London Fashion Week is gonna be something serious. So yeah,
That's,
we might have to try to put together a little traveling crew.
yeah, that would be
Hmm
amazing. Because the
Yeah,
guys they go to Italy together. They
right.
plan it, and so
hmm
it would be great to see a group of brothers make that trip or do that.
hmm
Um, how many pieces you got in your arsenal, man? You mentioned about 200 sweaters. So what would you? Is it ridiculous to even say?
Man, I don't even know. I don't know, bro. To be honest, I don't know. I did a guesstimate. I did a guesstimate the other day, just kind of looking around and
Mm-hmm.
calculating. I probably I probably done spent about 60,
Wow.
but that don't necessarily mean like it's probably worth more than that though, because
Yeah.
some pieces I bought they weren't vintage pieces when I bought them, but maybe they are now. So
Mm-hmm.
I may have spent 125 for it online in 2011, but that piece now might be worth double or triple that. It just
Yeah.
I don't know.
300. Yeah.
I didn't spend a little over 60 though.
But it's interesting, man, because I can see that. I mean, even in a lifetime, right? Whatever
Mm,
you could have, it could have just been different garments from different brands. Over
right.
time, it kind of equates to somewhat of the same thing. But the difference, I think, with what you've done, and again, just watching and studying you and watching your videos, is that I think about it like, man, here is someone who's actually creating an investment more so than just purchasing, right? Because the
Mm,
value of Ralph Lauren continues to maintain itself or even go up. To your point, you bought it in 2011 and it could be 3 times as much as what you bought it, and obviously you took care of it. And so it's a rare find at this time. It's like a car collector. So it's just
mm.
really interesting. It made me think about things a lot differently. What would you say is your ultimate cheat code? So if I'm your guy, and I'm just starting my idea of being stylish, and I'm
Mm,
interested in Ralph Lauren, what would
mm,
be an ultimate cheat codes? And this is specific to an older head like us. What would you tell
mm.
that guy who grew up like us?
Um, actually that's pretty easy. First thing you need to invest in is a navy blue blazer with gold buttons. Navy blue blazer with gold buttons. That's a year-round piece. Um, it's a piece that can be styled completely to the second lowest form of casual, all the way up to dressed almost damn near formal.
Mm-hmm.
So it hits all points in between. Um, yeah, navy blue blazer with gold buttons. And then I think the next thing you probably need is a tweed blazer. A tweed blazer. And then just like it's funny, a dude we used to hang out a little bit, right? I don't really rock with him no more because he he doesn't have his own style. Like he borrowed too much from mine to the point that it was becoming uncomfortable for me. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Cause I'm like, I like good people and he's a good dude, but that made me uncomfortable that anything I went and got, you went and got.
Mm-hmm.
Like that just got weird to me. But,
Yeah.
um, we went out to do a shoot one day and he was dragging his feet as far as meeting me at the location because he couldn't find a shirt to piece together with the ensembles that he was bringing to the shoot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, how you ain't got a shirt, bro? Like we fall dudes. This is what we do. He's like, man, I don't really be buying shirts though. Like, and I'm like, so wait, let me get this straight. I said, you got Shetland wool, cashmere, Pima cotton, merino wool sweaters. You got tweed blazers, hacking jackets. You got cashmere sports coats. You got three-piece suits, but you don't invest in shirts? I'm like, all of this stuff matters, bro.
Mm-hmm.
So he really listening to me at this point, right? And I'm like, all of this stuff matters. Like you right now, nobody can see my shirt. My beard is blocking it. You can't see my bow tie. All of that stuff matters. Because if I look this way and then you see my bow tie has ponies on it and you see my shirt is brown to match the bottom of my sweater,
Mm-hmm.
like, come on, all that stuff matters. You can't
Yep.
ignore a single detail when it
100%.
comes to putting together that ensemble. That
Mm-hmm.
one ensemble. It might take you, my, my woman said today, I was getting ready for, well, I was supposed to be getting ready for work and I was dragging my feet. She was like, you know, you need an hour to pick your outfit out and another 15 minutes to look in the mirror. And I wanted to get offended. I wanted to be
But she
upset
was
with her.
right. She right.
What can you say, bro? Like, you know what I mean? And I ain't in the mirror like, damn, you the flyest, you finest dude ever. No, I'm looking like, okay, hold
But
on.
you're thinking about it.
I
It's
gotta make
it's
sure
intentional.
everything is right because
It's intentional.
listen, let me tell you something. If I'd have got in the mirror today and it didn't look right to me, I'd have took everything off.
And 100%.
I'd have called them and said, hey, listen, I'm gonna be late, but I'm coming. And I'd have took everything off because
100%.
when it comes to putting that one ensemble together, you can't take no shortcuts, man. You can't do it.
Nope.
And so, yeah, I would say a tweed blazer, a navy blue blazer with gold buttons, and then just start putting pieces with those two pieces. And
Mm-hmm.
next thing you'll know, you'll have two ensembles for each jacket, right? So
Yep.
then guess what that's gonna make you do? When you put an ensemble together and put it on and step out the house and everybody like, okay, all right, it's gonna make you go looking for another tweed because you know there's more than one color tweed blazer. It's gonna make
Yep.
you go looking for another one. And then you're
Yep.
gonna look for another sports coat. And while you're looking for another sports coat, you're gonna see something else. And you're gonna see a sweater. And then that's how it starts. But for me, I would say to somebody, start from there. I got quite a few sports coats, blazers, and suit jackets. If I would have started from that, I probably would have twice as many as I had. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
Because
I
one
do.
thing about a sports coat, like as you know, even when you focus, even if someone like me who focuses just on Ralph Lauren, there's still double RL, defunct rugby Ralph Lauren, there's Polo Blue Label, there's Lauren Ralph Lauren, which is green label, there's purple label. So you got different fits going on. All of them don't fit quite the same.
Huh.
So if somebody had told me, if I said, hey man, I bought a polo shirt and some wallabies, and I think I want to start messing with polo, and somebody would have said, well, start with a navy blue blazer with gold buttons and a tweed blazer and just build from there. For one, I have twice as many blazers, which would make me very happy. You know what I mean? That would
I
make me
do.
very happy to have
Yeah.
twice as many tweed herringbone sports coats than I have. That would make me very happy. But yeah, that's what I would say. This probably the best starting point for a new person, or not necessarily even a new person, just somebody trying to switch over.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of dudes that get in contact with me, and I'm happy about this. This is something I pat myself on the back for. It's a lot of dudes that get in contact with me that say that, I've been a low head, I've been rocking it since '86, but now I'm ready to do my grown man, and I'm glad you here because a lot of times not necessarily a free consultation, but a lot of times, man, I just tell them, hey, listen, man, if you need my help, just hit me.
Yeah.
And when you say that, but now when you say that, you got to understand that when they hit you and you really don't feel like talking, you still got to do it. You said you told them to hit you.
You told
So
them.
you got to, you know what I mean? Because they going to hit you.
Right, exactly. They're gonna,
Because they done hit me a few times. They done hit me a few times. And I'm like, damn. I don't feel like doing this right now, yo. But, I do it gladly, man, because, hey, without support, bro, you ain't gonna get very far in none of these fields out here. Not when it's,
And that's what we talk about, really that's a part of that fellowship, it's that giving, in order to, I know from what our conversation has been and what I've seen, it's our innate nature to give, and that reciprocity it's not like, oh, I'm waiting for something from you, but that it's an appreciation for the effort.
Right.
That's really all it is, acknowledgement of the effort that you put into something, because you know how much you put into when you're looking at Ralph Lauren, when you're looking at your garments, when you're sharing that information with someone, you're putting so much into it, and it's coming like straight and not beyond heart. I mean, that's like your spirit, right? And you want that person to look just as good as you in something that's completely not what you have or what you're wearing, but you want them to look good. No hate, no shade, just appreciation for seeing someone elevate. So I'm gonna do a rapid fire. We just over an hour, so I'm gonna do a rapid fire. A couple things. What's your most prized possession in the collection?
Shit. I'm to this day it's probably still my rugby sweater. The wine rugby sweater with the white embroidered R with the cross oars under it. It's a boat neck crew neck sweater. It's still it's still the one. And it's a lot of pieces in here, bro. But that's the one still.
That's the one.
Yep.
So let me do this one. I like this too. So, favorite pattern?
Herringbone.
Fabric.
I'm gonna say tweed, but cashmere's catching up. I'm really starting to really like to rock with the cashmere a little bit.
That's good. That's good. Style of shoes.
Dress slipper, wingtips.
Color combination.
The 4 basic food groups of varsity, which is wine, gold, navy, and college green.
I learned that from watching your show, so I appreciate that. So this one, I'm gonna call this rapid fire as well, but it's called the Creative Last Supper. So it'll be a mix of some things. So it's gonna be either or person or topic. And style, James Brown or Miles Davis?
Miles Davis.
Martin and the Martin shirt or Will during Fresh Prince?
Martin.
Tribe Called Quest or The Roots?
Tribe.
Nas
not even close. Nas or Biggie? Biggie. Not even close. To me.
Outkast or Wu-Tang?
Outkast. Anybody you say versus Outkast is Outkast.
Facts. 100%. All right. Big Daddy Kane, which just did versus, Kane or KRS?
If you'd asked me this when I was 14, it'd been Chris. The fact that I know Tony personally, his first cousin was my manager for about 4 years. Definitely Big Daddy Kane. That's the triple OG right there.
Yeah, he the one who made me want to get dressed up. I got cussed up by my mom for begging for a suit in 8th grade.
Yeah, because but listen, that's like, I've been to his house. Like,
oh wow,
that's his real closet. Like suits. The boy is official. He been like that for,
I believe it,
3 dozen years. Yep.
Classic. All right. So we got Michael Prince. Chappelle or Kevin Hart?
Chappelle.
Miles or Coltrane?
Miles.
Jill Scott or Badu?
Jill. Oh my God.
Bebop or contemporary jazz?
Contemporary jazz.
All right, so this is my final question. I already know the answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway. You spend 24 hours untethered, 24 hours of any creative designer. Who would it be, dead or alive, and why?
I'm gonna say Ralph.
Of course.
By nose.
Okay,
I'm gonna say Ralph.
who's
No, but you know what?
Who's runner-up?
It ain't his son, David.
Oh, wow.
Like anybody that's worked with the brand, Lee Norwood, Patrick Sullivan, who was one of the main models, Tyson Beckford, anybody that's been in those rooms, I want to talk to. You know, let me tell you, and you say, and why? I would say, because I would want to just listen to him talk. He ain't even got to talk about clothes. Ralph ain't even got to talk to me about clothes. Just talk. I just want to hear you talk, bro. You can talk to me about anything. You want to talk to me about how Ricky can't cook or something. I know she can because she has cookbooks. But I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't care what he want to talk about. I just want to listen to him talk and pick his brain. But one of the most amazing things that I've done as far as this journey was when I worked for the company. They have, and for some reason, only employees are allowed to go to this place. But in the Flatiron District is a Ralph Lauren museum. The first tie is in there. There's all types of fabrics. There's all types of gowns from galas that famous celebs wore, and then it's a beautiful thing in there, and that's kind of where my head is at too. Like just being in those rooms and hearing stories and hearing conversations about, you know, what happened in 25, 30 years ago on Bleecker Street on that Saturday when such and such, like I like just stuff like that. That's kind of where my interest level is now. Like everything else, I kind of felt like I've seen.
Yeah.
When it comes to
it's
the
really
content.
like you're seeking of knowledge, right? So you're just seeking that knowledge, that information, and just
Mm-hmm.
really appreciating the stories that you would never hear anyplace else, right?
Absolutely.
So, man, Parker, this has been an honor and a pleasure. I really appreciate your time tonight. Folks, you got a treat tonight. So I'm asking you on camera. This is part one of another part two to this conversation with my good brother Parker, because there's so much value that I believe that we can extend, but also to continue the fellowship, and more men need to see this, that look like us, to hear this conversation and be honest about what we're trying to do, the needle that we're trying to move and maneuver, and also the voice that needs to be heard. So good brother, I'm going to ask you, for those who don't know, where can those who are interested in what you do, where can they find you? And we'll go from there.
Definitely Mr. Parker 1967 here on Instagram. But my platform is growing, and a lot of my focus is on YouTube at the same name, Mr. Parker 1967. That's where you can catch my vlog. I post every Sunday. I usually start early to mid-September, and I run all the way through April or May. That's how much I hate the summer. I take summer off. I don't have nothing to talk about. There's nothing to talk about when it comes to clothes. There's nothing to talk about in the summer. Just like stay inside, sleep as much as you can so the summer can hurry up and get by so we can get to the fall.
Oh, man.
But
so in the summer, we got to go to nowhere somewhere. We got to go all the way up there.
Listen, something. I'm gonna have to do something. I'm gonna have to do something because like I just can't take that heat is crazy. But Seamless Style is the name of the vlog series that I do every Sunday. I also do something called Behind the Scenes, SEAMS. It's like a play on words. Behind the Scenes is, it's kind of like a cliff note version of Seamless Styles, where I may talk about one particular piece that came out, and I grabbed it, and here's a quick review. I did a review of, oh shoot, I just have it right here because I haven't cleaned up in here in a couple of days. But I did a review of that, Rouse Club, and it did pretty good numbers on YouTube for my platform, because my platform is still in the early stages. But yeah, Behind the Scenes is just kind of like the Cliff Note version of Seamless Styles. I throw those up whenever there's a need, but otherwise you can catch Seamless Style. It'll go up sometime Sunday. I used to be better with time. I used to have it up by noon at the latest, but it really just depends on scheduling. But it's going up on every Sunday. And what I do is I just I give style tips on different things Ralph Lauren. So if you looking to collect, that's definitely I'm not gonna necessarily say I'm the litmus, but it's definitely a good reference tool that you can use to figure out how you want to style certain things if you're trying to style it the traditional Ralph Lauren way.
Love it, love it. Well, again, I want to thank you everybody who hung out with us tonight on Jump School. We've learned a lot. There's a lot of value. I'm hoping you have an amazing night. And good brother, thank you again. And we'll see you on the next one. Peace.
All right. Peace.
I hope you enjoyed today's amazing interview. Today's episode was brought to you by my new book, Why Style Matters, The Mindset of Dressing Well and How It Impacts Your Life. To get your autographed copy, click the link in the description.